Hello everyone, this is a short video about session 5, the research design. So if you go into that session, you will see that and have a look at the research process, then you should by now have already defined the problems that you want to solve for the business that you are looking at. You should also by now have defined the research objectives. That is information that you need to collect in order to solve the problems that your business has in relation to customers ideally. Step number 3 is determine the research design, and that is basically a plan for how you want to collect the information that can help solve your problems. So we'll have a brief talk about what research design is and what you might want to do for your project. So it's a very big topic, and it's important you read through this session here very carefully. But I will give you a sort of like a very brief overview of what it is all about. So basically, you have two options. You can use what is called qualitative research. That is basically in-depth research where you sort of look around and where really anything goes. It includes techniques such as observation and focus groups, in-depth interviews, and secondary searches, social media, all sorts of things. So qualitative research is a very useful research technique that you would normally do initially in a research project. Later on, that qualitative research may lead to a new hypothesis. It might lead you to a belief that you now know what the causes for your original problems were and the solutions for your original problems, what they might be. Um, but you don't want to make changes just yet. You want to back up your qualitative research with quantitative research. This is basically an approach where you cement the findings. You basically use a much larger number of respondents to ensure that what you found through your qualitative research, that often doesn't involve a whole lot of respondents, is actually correct. And you have two options there. You can either use descriptive research, which is basically surveys, or you can use causal research, where you try to change one thing and then observe or measure what happens with something else. Um, Now, first of all, the qualitative research. Now, with qualitative research, you have a number of options. You might want to use focus groups. You may want to do in-depth interviews. You may want to do observations. You have a lot of options here. Now, focus groups. I'll just talk about some of the more important of these. You can read more about it here in the Moodle subject, and you can watch a number of videos and things. So you have a lot of options here. Now, focus groups are absolutely brilliant. You simply get a group of people together and discuss a given topic. And you need a moderator that can guide the conversation or the discussion, but quite often you can get this snowballing effect where one respondent will mention something and someone else will build on it. So that is a very good approach to qualitative research that I highly recommend. Um, Another option that you got is observation. Observation is an approach where you basically observe what is going on in a given situation. There's some videos here in the subject, and there's a video about shopping, the shopping experiences of a English customer. There's a few other focus groups that you can watch as well, and you can. Oh, sorry. Um, Observations. you can basically learn a lot through observations. Um, Now, an example of that is from my own experiences. I used to do a project at a hotel in the United States, a Sheraton Hotel, and basically in that hotel we found out that the guests were not very impressed with the check-in times. There was a lot of customers that on a survey indicated that they did not like the check-in times. So I spent a long time down in the front lobby with a stopwatch, and every time a new guest would arrive at the hotel, I would start that stopwatch and time how long time it took for the customer to get the keys for his or her room. Now, every time it took longer than a certain time interval that were so like the standard. I would, after the guest finally got the keys, walk up to the front counter and ask them what went wrong. It, After a week or a bit over a week, we had a lot of reasons why customers had to wait, and then we fixed the reasons so that it would never happen again. Now that's an example of observations where you simply observe something. Now, observations. I talked to this lady that did market research for one of the major food corporations, and she had done a number of in-depth interviews with customers. And in-depth interviews can be absolutely wonderful in certain situations, but basically what she was doing was she was interviewing mothers, and she asked them what they served for their kids, what sort of types of foods. And it became clear that these mothers served quite healthy foods for their kids. Now later, this very same market researcher went to these mothers' houses and asked if she could have a look inside. And when she had a look in the fridges of these mothers, it turned out that what they told in the in-depth interviews were not quite the truth. There's chips and chocolate and soft drinks and you name it. So sometimes you've got to really think carefully about what research techniques will lead to the information we are truly seeking. What will lead to the truth? You need to basically decide on what research techniques you want to employ for your study, and you have a number of options. So that's basically it. Now, you also have the option of descriptive research. Descriptive research is very widely used research technique that involves surveys. This one here. You could potentially use causal research, although as a student you probably don't have that option. But when you work in business, that is a very effective market research technique as well. You basically try to change one factor. For example, you might want to, let's say you are running a restaurant. You might have done some exploratory research or qualitative research where you looked at secondary sources. And through secondary sources, you would have read about other restaurants that have tried to change the music that they play in the restaurant. And these restaurants, or some of them at least, would have found that if they play slow music, guests stay for longer and spend more money. So if one of your problems in your restaurant is that you don't have enough guests, customers, then you could then do a causal research and simply try and measure how many guests or customers you have in a given month. Then you can try and change the music that you play to slower music and see if you will get the same results. Customers staying longer and buying more things with slower music. And it just might be that you then have found your solutions to the problems identified originally. The same thing could go for a bar. If you have a bar and you would like to sell more drinks, you might have a hypothesis, maybe based on some other qualitative research that you have conducted, that if it's a tiny bit warmer in the pub, you will sell more drinks. Well, then you can test it out through causal research and see if that's actually the case. And if it is, then you might just have the solution to the problem that started out your research, that you don't sell enough drinks. So that's a very brief overview of this session. Now, if you're an external student, there are some special circumstances of your project, and I'll strongly advise you that you focus on the areas that we have discussed previously. You can watch these things under assessment external students. So this is a general overview of research design, but external students that do not come to class, they tend to do things a bit more simply. Good. I hope this helped.